was one of my a couple of Al-Anon readings this week, and I had a great Al-Anon group on Wednesday. I don't ever share the people's names or anything that would identify anybody with that. But this reading was from a little book called Courage to Change, and of course it starts out talking about one of the effects from alcoholism. But I would just say one of the effects from life. Sometimes just the hard things that happen in our lives is that we deny or devalue our own stuff. And we've talked about that before. I'm back.
Hi,
I'm
Christy.
so sorry. I'm going to see. Anyway, Poppy's on duty, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, this reading talked about that one of the effects of life, I'll just say, is that we deny or devalue our talents, our achievements, our desires. And how I love this statement. It says, creativity is a powerful way to celebrate who we are. It's spiritual energy that nourishes our vitality. It is a way to replace negative thinking with positive action. And of course, we know that. But the next little segment, and we launched off into a really good discussion, because so many people feel they're not creative, or when you go through slumps and you're not feeling, the passion. This little segment talked about that we're all brimming with imagination, no matter who you are, but it takes practice sometimes to find it and put it into use. And I love these examples. Anything we do in a new way can be creative. And it gives a few examples: painting, building a bookshelf, even trying new foods, a new seasoning, a new approach to your finances, finger painting, problem solving, even tapping out a rhythm on a tabletop. Creative energy is within us and all around us, whether we're writing a masterpiece or folding laundry. And Bridget, you're muted. Unmute. We want to hear what you're saying. No?
No, you don't, because I was talking to my husband.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I'll be having those same words here in a minute. We went into that discussion about even laundry, and how a warm, especially right now, and Normal, you'll attest to this with no electricity, but how thankful you can be for a dryer and, warm smell of laundry, and just sitting and folding and putting them all away. And I shared in the meeting that, last week I was so frazzled, I just threw the wash rags in my linen closet. I didn't fold them or anything. It was like, you know what? They're in there. I can grab them as I need them. We don't have any company. I just threw them in there. And I also shared that my sister told me one time when we were talking about silverware or something, and she said, here's how I do my silverware. And she took the basket out of the dishwasher and she just dumped it in the drawer. And, so Shelly's having trouble getting logged on too. So anyway, there's just lots of different ways to do things based on how you feel on any given day. But the practice of creativity and learning to consider lots of things in our lives as creative endeavors, putting order where there was no order. Or even if you're not putting order, I kind of laugh now when I think about all those wash rags just thrown in there.
It's funny that you mentioned laundry, because I didn't realize that was a creative comfort, which is really, to sit there and fold laundry seems mundane, but I didn't realize it was creative comfort until I was going through postpartum depression, which I didn't know I had. And I was crying while I was folding laundry. And that's when I knew something was wrong, because that normally had brought me joy that I didn't even realize. That's that gratitude you don't even really realize you have.
That is so good and so true, Norma. And just even, I remember when my kids were little back in the olden days, and I was using cloth diapers, and I can remember going to the laundromat with a big basket full of wet pea-soaked diapers and then hanging them on the line in the cold, and they didn't hardly dry. They just froze, and then when I got my dryer fixed, I laid on the dryer and just said, thank you, God. I'm so thankful for this dryer. And washer, same thing, just every now and then I think about how it would be to have to wash them in the sink, or with scrub boards like people did of old. So this is our new statement. I want to sit next to you, Gran. I want to sit next to you. So anyway, I think learning to consider more than just the paintbrush and the canvas as creative endeavors, that we are making anything that we touch and make more beautiful, make more orderly, clean. Um, those things create energy in a field around us that makes our part of the world a better place instead of it being a drudgery. And so much is just our attitudes, how we think about anything like that. It's how we're thinking. Um, so, and the rest of this, can you see it, Jackie? Do you mind reading it? Third one, yeah.
Okay, every original act asserts our commitment to living. Our program encourages us to acknowledge the achievements and to live each day fully. These words are very small. When we create the plant, we plant ourselves firmly in the moment and teach ourselves that that what we do matters. Do what you can with what you have where you are, by Theodore Roosevelt. Woo, that was hard on the eyes.
You did great.
Oh, thank you.
You have spring chicken eyes.
Well, I'm looking very close. So I hope you guys probably see every wrinkle and everything in my face. I don't know, but
Oh, come on. You're very attractive. You have great skin. Be quiet.
Oh goodness, I don't know. But thank you. Yeah, so maybe I can be Christy. So what do you guys think about that?
I'm back.
Oh,
Sorry
there you
about
are.
that. Sorry about that.
It's true.
Ooh, I'm glad you're back.
I wasn't sure how this
Keep
was
your
going to go.
grandchild. She'll be so grateful to get home. She'll never
Yeah.
say another word.
I know.
You're free for a week.
Well, and again, just going back to the beauty of creation, imagination. I love that quote by Roosevelt: "Do what you can with what you have where you are, and try to make the best." I prayed this morning. I prayed that she would stay asleep, but she didn't. She woke up extra early, and so sometimes things don't go the way you plan, but you just roll with it, right? The other one I read talked about the actual meetings themselves, and how when somebody displays gratitude in front of us, when we're around somebody, heartfelt gratitude, how it affects us, that expression, when you hear somebody else being grateful, especially if they're going through something really difficult. And so the second paragraph there says, life begins to make a great deal of sense when the world begins to reveal its beauty, which for a long time was obscured by my worrying over my troubles. And I'm learning to deal with them now. And what makes it easier is that I deal only with the problems that are mine. I'm learning I cannot carry another's burdens, no matter how much I love them. And then it talked about the fringe benefits is it increases our awareness of the world around us so that we can see and enjoy it. This alone helps dim the difficulties that we continue to concentrate on sometimes, and thus create our own misery. And then it talks about acquiring a sense of reality which is absolutely essential to serenity. Sorry for my stammering there. But I really zoned into that, how worry and thinking about how the stuff that rotates in our mind obscures our vision, obscures our everything, really. And how much in my life I have missed that, by being on autopilot, that I've just had this, beeline of thinking that I haven't been able to shake. And at times, and I don't always, but again, going back to when you pick up a paintbrush or pencil, even when you sit and look at beautiful artwork, how that changes your whole focus and it stops that negative train. And I do believe that many, many artists are not only more able to cope because we have this outlet, but it is a great, it's a great way to make the world a little bit better place, because our worrying and fretting and talking negatively about things only adds more to the mess that's out there. And so practicing that gratitude and learning to look. And I had this in one of my gratitude folders, and I love this 19, y'all have seen it, I'm sure, but it's a wash day in 1916. It says, number 1, build fire in backyard to heat kettle of rainwater, set tubs so smoke won't blow in eyes if wind is pert. Number 3, shave 1 whole cake, lye soap in boiling water. 4, sort things, make 3 piles, 1 pile white, 1 pile colored, 1 pile work breeches and rags. Number 5, stir flour in cold water, smooth and thin down with boiling water. Rub dirty spots on board, scrub hard, then boil. I guess that means boil. It says boil. Rub colored, don't boil, just rinse in starch. Anyway, it's just all these steps to doing laundry. Scrub the porch, pour rinse water in the flower bed, spread the tea towels on the grass, scrub the porch with hot soapy water, turn the tubs upside down, go put on a fresh dress, smooth hair, brew a cup of tea, sit and rest, and rock a spell and count your blessings. And I just think sometimes I do go back and say, thank you, God, for not letting me be born into that century. Thankful. And so just the transforming power of gratitude and a look at how it could be. Just a repositioning of focus and attitude. And again, going back to the first illustration, is learning to make even mundane things into acts of creativity and something that's beneficial to your spirit, that can be nourishing. And I think as the first slide showed, it can be the morning routine that we have, because that's when we set our compass, makes a big difference in how the rest of my day goes. I don't know about you, but it really, really does.
I did another one of those acrylic paintings it's a 1-hour workshop or 1-hour demo that takes me normally about an hour and 45, where you do the complementary colors underneath and then the paint colors on top.
Awesome. I saw some of your posts. They were awesome. How did you feel doing it?
Rushed, but it's teaching me to have loose brush strokes. It's not a way that I'm going to paint forever. It's different from my normal style, but it's teaching me good skills.
I love that, Bridget. And it spurs us on to do something different pretty soon. That's awesome. But seeing Bridget, just like the gratitude kind of spurs you on and to help change your attitude, seeing whatever, Peach posts all the time, Bridget, Jackie, you've been posting too. I love that. Norma's been sending me stuff. It just spurs me on. It makes not only your little world better, it gets over on my world too. It does make a big difference in our lives.
It helps me too when I see other people's work. I enjoyed Bridget's flowers. I was looking at all that. And also to this, I didn't hardly get to paint that much, but it's my goddaughter's, you guys probably saw that online. It's my goddaughter's birthday in a couple of days. And she says she likes flamingos. So I just did a little quick flamingo on a little card stock and just made my own birthday card for her and wrote in it and, dressed up the envelope a little bit. And so I'm going to send her that along with, I used to make these little, I don't have one with me, but little journals. I made them, bind them myself and posted pictures on them so she can, so I'm sending her one of my old journals that I made not long ago, just a small one. And I'm sending that to her for her birthday after the snow clears up, because I can't get to the post office. But that was a joy for me to be able to make something for somebody that I love. And, that helped me in between trying to get this painting done. So, yeah.
I know. I even just receiving something like that in the mail, or even just a card, like Peach sends me her check in a little watercolor, card.
Oh,
and I love that. It's so personal. She's laughing away, but it's so personal. And I don't usually do any kind of artwork on my cards, but a lot of times, especially for my dad or my sister, I'll go get photographs and I'll print a photo, and then I'll print something real personal in there, or write something real personal in there about that day. And I noticed last time I was at my dad's, he has them all in his little gun room, his little work room, all hanging up on the wall. And they're usually pictures of us out in the woods or something like that. And it's just, it feels good to do that. You know, it's one thing to go in the store and get a Hallmark card, but it's different to sit there and even just to write something personal. You know, if you have to remind yourself that that's putting something creative out into the world, and somehow it's just all this energy swirling around us. I know that's hoodoo-y sometimes for people to talk about the energy, but it is putting good energy to try to combat some of the bad that's out there, and we have an important part in that. Yeah, Peach.
I'm too cheap for Hallmark, just saying.
That's okay. It's just different. And it's not that people that buy Hallmark are, you know, slackers. That's not it at all, because, you know, people stand there and spend, and I've stood there and spent a lot of time choosing a card.
I arrange flowers every week usually. This week, G brought me some all arranged.
How did you feel about that?
I was shocked. I got chocolates for Valentine's.
Valentine's.
It was very nice.
I made a good dinner the other night. I make dinner every night, but I made it. It was frazzled because I had a baby pulling on me the whole time, but I made some crepes. I had some leftover pancake batter from the morning, and I made some crepes, and I made a little cream cheese filling, and then I had fresh blackberries from the store, and I boiled those with a little bit of maple syrup in them, and just the act of rolling up that little crepe, and it was all apart because, you know, I made 3. It was all apart, but rolling it up, putting that cream cheese inside and rolling it up, and then putting that little blackberry on top. It was warm, you know, and it was just so yummy. And Mark said, "Wow, this is really good." That felt so good to do that in the middle of the chaos. And I mean, there's dishes everywhere. The kitchen's a wreck. It's not like some beautiful Martha Stewart moment that I made it and put it on a pretty plate and the table was all set. It was just like here in a bowl, you know, in front of the TV. He ate the crepe and I ate mine in between having a baby pulling on me. But it was still a little sweet moment in the middle. Yeah.
Just so you know, Martha Stewart's got staff at every one of her 16 houses. They do all that crap. They do all the writing. She just puts her name on it. Okay?
That's right.
She is not doing her dishes. I don't care what she says, she's lying.
You know what? That was good, Teach. Always making me laugh. But one thing that I was I remember, I was sitting there thinking, what did I do creative? And one thing I don't usually do is go, like I know, Christy, you do, you go on Pinterest and started looking at some things. And so I wanted to, you know, start getting into making, you know, little, you know, sketchbooks or something to, you know, always do something every day. And that's what I've been trying to do, is get into the habit of doing and a lot of creative sketchbooks and everything. And I wanted to create something about my life with some painted pictures and my own writing and just a nice big creative book. So I was kind of going through it and I got really inspired with some titles of what I wanted to create in my book. So, and that's something I've never done. So that was one thing that was really relaxing, is going through there. And then my mind started going, what I can make, you know, put in my book. So that was a good thing for me. So
that's great. I'm glad that I could spur that on in you. And I'll have to send you guys a link to my Pinterest because I've got so many boards, but one of them is just called Beautiful Things, you know, and I've got garden things and outdoor spaces, and I've got garden murals because I've been trying to do some murals on my gardening shed out there. That's a goal I have. And so I have lots of little things in there just to help me to springboard, not to copy necessarily, but even those little things for me outside in my yard. I don't care if I copy somebody's raccoon. It's just for me. It's not like I'm, you know, it's not plagiarism to put somebody else's raccoon on my shed outside. Even though I don't really love raccoons anymore since they've wreaked us so much havoc. So I'm not really sure he's going to get a place on the shed. But there's beautiful things on there, and you can find pretty much anything you want on there. It is like a relaxing walk through a garden.
Well, when you were saying the creative, I hadn't got to the drawing. Alyssa does. I got to help her fix a package, a Valentine's package to a real special friend of hers, Harry. And when you were talking about cards, honey, she had the front, all the middle, the back. She fixed, Christy, I have to send you pictures that she did of her card. It was very detailed. The little boy was grateful, and it was fun putting all that together. And then when you were talking, it's like trying to tend to mom and everything. Well, my Valentine, I was sitting there fixing all that. I got to decorate the house, and I was fixing roast and everything for everybody to eat. And then of course the storm come in, so not everybody got to show up. So it was different. It got like Valentine take home. So my dad got his roast and all that there. So my creativity is a little different than what I'd like to do. I'd like to be drawing and painting, but I love how you've opened my mind to there's many different ways to be creative and to release this outlet. So I'm enjoying it that way.
I love that. Thank you, Amy. Even just making a little space there.
This is a whole
Yes,
lot
I'm
going on in the
sorry. Peach
conversation.
is cracking me up.
What a day.
There's a whole lot going underlying in Christy.
I know. There is. There is. It's like we are women, right? I'm woman, hear me roar. We can multitask. We can pay attention to everything that's going on at one time. I wish you could see my house because I've given her anything she wanted before I got started this morning, and there's stuff strode all over the floor. There's food and little tables, and all the TVs are on in all the rooms so that I could, and then Mark finally has taken her back to his bedroom, I guess, because he couldn't keep her out of here. But again, that spirit of the artist, the spirit that I believe God wants to continue transforming in us is to push through the obstacles and what you want to do, what you love to do, I love being with you guys this morning and every Tuesday. And it really makes a difference in my life. My eyes is starting to widen. My little grandson says, my eyes is just widening. I'm not crying, they just widening. So we always say that my eyes are kind of welling up a little bit, just in appreciation for being with you guys, just to have a few minutes to connect. And I thought, I've got the whole video done of all my stages, and I can share that with you guys to watch on your own if this gets too crazy. I will be sending it out to you, just as soon as we finish up here. And it's an hour and a half. I'm sorry. I worked and worked and worked on it to try to whittle it down some. You might not want to watch it all, but I did put titles on it. So, I'm working into semi-wet paint. So it's a little bit sticky. So I'm telling you some of my pitfalls with that and how I did that. And then also redrawing and correcting. And I think that's an important stage that I just show you how I go back into it and how quickly you can correct your mistakes. Also being able to check. I spend a lot of time looking at the different versions of the painting in different prints and making a decision as to which way do I want to go. And I believe that we don't spend enough time on the front end making a plan. Sometimes we just jump in with both feet because we're flying by the seat of our pants anyway. And so I think that I spend about 5 minutes in the beginning just looking at all the different versions that are out there and making up my mind, what do I like of these? Do I like it more warm? Do I like it cool? Do I like the real sharp, crisp one? Or do I like the softer one? And I think we neglect that part. I did want to show you because this is part of the inspirational time, Bridget, if you want to stay on. I think sometimes just like going to the museum together, I wanted to look at a few of his paintings together. And but this is this particular site is 4K. It has really nice resolution images, and they stay on for a good long time for you to really look at it and soak it up. And then it'll zoom in on each one and show you some parts of it. Most of these I have not seen. So, and I tried to look at these to decide, does he use glazing? Is it direct painting? Anybody have any thoughts on this first one? The only thing it doesn't do is doesn't give us the title of the piece. One of the things I try to look at with, and you'll have to unmute yourself and jump in there and interrupt me, please, is it looks like he uses an underpainting, because notice in this one how you can see that brick, that pinky brick color under her dress. You can kind of see that in her hair. That's kind of the mother color, that grayed down version of alizarin. You see it all over the painting. You see it underneath the gray up here. This even it's affected under here. You see a little bit of it under the greens. Look at the hands. Look how much, there's really not much detail in the hands. And look at the green, a lot of green. So there's kind of a red and green theme with this painting. And that's what I spent a lot of time on the video talking about. Do I want to go yellow and purple? Do I want to go red and green? You know, and that red and green, let me go back to that for a second, to that first one. That red and green combination, this is a red and green, although it is a more of a cool red, like an alizarin, and a blue-green color. But it's harmonious because of the complementary colors, I think. And it's soft. And you notice he didn't define every brick. He didn't define any bricks, really. Maybe a few right here. Can y'all see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, I'm going to make you the answerer.
Okay.
I hate not being able to see y'all. I really don't know what happened. It's driving me crazy, this Zoom. All right, let me move on to another painting here. This one is really busy, so I was going to move on down. This is a pretty famous one of I think it's Ophelia. Is that right? Not really a great image of it. Look how orange her hair looks. But look at all the detail in it. Goodness gracious. There's a cross with Jesus on it and candles, and it's kind of creepy. I mean, just all the...
Did she kill herself or something, or go?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's a creepy person anyway.
Yeah, all of these. And again, these are based on either Shakespeare or who's the other author that I forget. But anyway, they're poems and stories that he illustrated. So you see, you know, there's a story in them, but there's a beauty to all the detail that he goes into. They're really more kind of border on the side of Rockwell with telling a story. The background, though, is very impressionist. So all the elements of the painting are very much in detail, and then the background is so that, you know, as we saw last week in that video, you can do both. You can do a more detailed painting for your subject and keep your background very loose and impressionistic, and that really helps to push it back into the background. Again, though, look at his edges. That's what really first impacted me. Now, not on this, but on the skin tones is why I ever even started doing any studies of his work. You can see a little bit on her hand up here. His skin and hands, they're just beautiful. He does a really, really nice job. No fingernails are detailed, just that one on the top that's catching a little bit of light. Again, these are just very photorealistic. I mean, almost all the way back here, it's still very sharp and crisp. And look how it's cracking here in the middle. You can already see. So maybe some glazing on this one because it's so vivid. But look how these rocks are just scumbled a little bit. And look at all the colors in the rocks, purples and blues and greens. Again, look at the color on the tree. It's not brown. It's purple and blue and green on the tree trunk there. And what would we do? We squeeze out some burnt umber and make a brown tree. But again, soft edges on the skin tones. You can look at the transition. The light doesn't go all the way out to the edge. There's a cool transition on the lower side. There's a warmer transition on the upper side of the arm. Look at the folds in the dress. Again, they're not over blended, but the shadows have a real translucent quality to them. There's cad yellow in there. a whole series of his paintings were with roses. And so you've got a lot of things in here. You've got stained glass, you've got metal, you've got flowers, you've got metal on her arms, metal in the pot, flesh, curtains, plants. I mean, really and truly, you got to give him credit for a lot of stuff going on, which is why I say a lot of times when you're a portrait painter or figurative painter, you have to learn more than just skin tones and how to do people. Let me stop for a second. Let's look at her nose. Look at the planes. Look at the different values on the nose. So you got, can y'all see my cursor, Jackie?
Yes.
Okay. So look at the tip. Look at the warmth on this nostril on the right. Look at the dark nostril. Again, it's that red caput mortem color that's red with a little bit of green in it, alizarin with a little green in it. A little bit of hot color right here on the edge of this nostril. A little cool tone right here on the edge of the nostril flare. A different value here on the bridge. A little lighter here. Cool. And very light here. And then there's another cool tone right here on the brow ridge. So look at all the stuff that's going on. And what we try to do is just do one stroke down the bridge. Same with the shadow under the chin. There's a cool edge. It gets very dark here. It gets warmer. It cools off just a little bit as it comes closer to the light. The coolness helps to turn an edge. Daniel Green used to say that all the time.
Do you guys want me to read the chat box or?
Yeah, I don't see it. So yeah,
That's a
read
lot
it,
of,
Jackie.
yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, successfully. Okay, creepy character, gorgeous painting. I see an elephant in the background. Wow. Narcissist, correct? That's a question mark. And then he's looking at himself instead of the nude chick. You can guess who that came from. And then there is all of that, but it doesn't seem overworked at all. That's what someone said. So
awesome. I think, again, just taking time to look. I listened to David LaFell, but he's really a great painter and I respect him. And he's saying some really good things. But one of the things he said that I didn't really agree with was that if something is really laborious or hard, it's not being creative. And he said that 2 or 3 different ways, but I'm pretty sure I was understanding. It should be simple and it should be effortless. And I just don't find that always with creativity. Now, he's been painting for 60 years, so it probably is effortless for him now. But
I've never heard that from anybody that's effortless all the time.
No, it can't
Sometimes
be.
it is. It falls off the brush. Other times it's like, ugh, kill me now.
Yeah.
Well, and when you look at all that's going on, even on a piece like this, it can feel really overwhelming. You know, I just stopped at one point. There's probably a lot of other things we could look at in any of these paintings, but when you look at all that's going on in the shadows, one of the things he talked about was that in the shadows, there's no modeling. And I kept trying to understand what he was talking about with that. But basically he was saying, if you squint down, this whole shadow, well, here, let me share the screen again. This whole shadow under the chin is in shadow. It's all to the same degree of shadow. It's got warmth and cools in it, but it's all shadow. So you don't have to worry about trying to make it look like it's rounding out under there. So I don't know. And also just noticing how the transition goes from one to the other. Like right here by the hairline, you know, there's a warm tone right here before it goes right into hair. Right here, there's a green tone on the top. Oh, I didn't share the screen.
No, we don't see it. Yeah, we don't see it.
Hearing a lot of background noise.
But is that what makes it so realistic though? With all that's like the theory of using color or something, isn't it? Isn't that something that just makes it more pop?
Well, it doesn't. and you're not going to see all this in a photograph when you're trying to paint.
Right.
So again, it comes from, while he couldn't have painted all these from life, he had enough knowledge of what life was like to be able to paint like this and to have all these edges. You don't see any hard edges on this skin. Maybe the
Right.
hardest edge is right here around her eyebrow.
Well, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. That's what drew me to his work, because I didn't.
Okay.
I paint so aggressively. My marks are so broken and sharp, and my paint goes on that way that I have to work to get things smoothed out.
Okay.
And so I see his work and I see the softer edges.
He loves those naked chicks.
More naked ones. I know it.
Oh, yeah.
All these men.
Yeah.
Jackie's got something going on in her house too.
Oh, you can hear my husband? Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Let me,
okay.
I'm a mute because he can get pretty loud.
Okay.
Okay.
This one, just like the last one, has his model in front of a mirror.
Yes, it does. And interesting to know why he does that.
With another dude.
Yeah, there's somebody in the background.
Well, no, he's not in the background. He's in front of her.
Oh,
That's
right.
really-
Looking at her.
I think that's the mirror.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mirror.
But
This one's more obvious that it's a mirror. The one with the stained glass, it wasn't until you zoomed into her face that I saw the reflection of the back of her head, and I realized that the stained glass was lighting her because it was in front of her, not behind her.
Oh, okay. Well, and look, there's a duck in there
Where?
over here.
Whack. Oh, I see him.
It's
Yeah,
a boat.
see it?
That's a swan boat.
Oh. Yeah, it is.
A swan boat. And then, but notice this bright blue, how much it emphasizes her skin being so warm. Just those little pops of blue. Otherwise, this would be a very drab, this whole area would be very drab. But Kinsler was like that. He would put a little bit of blue on a man's collar or in his tie or something that would just help contrast these peachy. Look at the tone under her elbow here and the greens right here between shadow and light on her arm. Look at how hard that edge is right there on the top of her shoulder. Just it's interesting to me to study edges, to see how people handle edges. Very soft right here on her shoulder where her hair and her shoulder meet. This transition of her hair into the background is also very key, because if you make the hair too sharp, it looks like a wig or a helmet. And look at the values. You've got dark, you've got this raw sienna color, then you've got just a scumbled, cooler color that's maybe got a little bit of lavender on it, and the paint is just dragged over the top there. But all the edges of the hair are pretty soft. It just totally melts down here under the elbow. Anyway, I would love to see some of his paintings in real life. And it looks like he uses a lot of medium because they're so, okay, Desi. Okay, go tell Poppy. So the hand coming forward, look how beautifully the fingers are rendered. Again, no real strong detail on the nails, just some light, medium highlights. Here's another one. Again, I'm going to send you guys the link to this because I think it's interesting to just sit, because they are such lovely high resolution images of his work. We don't get that opportunity to see. Most of the ones I search for individual images, they're all pixelated. Even the one I'm working on, it's not real sharp and clear. He's also a good one to study for fabric. Another window, mirror, isn't it?
Yeah, he likes that technique.
He likes it. He does. I guess he can include more in Whistler.
I like it too.
Whistler used
Yeah.
that a lot. This one's really busy. That one's a little too busy for me. I tend to like look at the flowers in the foreground there. That's not even realistic coloring. It's very gray, like death. There's something very gray about it to me. I don't know why that's that way. Maybe it was the silver type of. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of fast forward through some of these just to show you the beautiful, I'm looking at them on a big screen, but to just show you the beautiful colors and edges, and you can see how thick his paint is in some areas. Notice the windowsill here is all horizontal strokes, which helps to lay that down. Whenever you want a front plane to look vertical, you can use up and down strokes, and you see some up and down strokes right here next to her dress. But that's very important when you want something to stand up, when you want it to lay down, is to watch the direction of your strokes. Wow, the colors in this are really magnificent. The cool tones all over that white wall. And the marble. Let's see if it gives us a close-up. You definitely know. And the greenery up here. Look how it just melts. You know, we would want to paint all these leaves. You know, it's a grapevine, so you just see a few leaves and you'd want to paint them all crisp and sharp. And yet they're soft. There's a nice soft underpainting underneath. Similar to what we're doing right now is to make a nice soft underpainting and then lay your next layer over the top of that soft underpainting. Look at this close up a little better.
So many colors in the white too.
I know. And, you know, you see.
That's what I was looking at.
You see
That
the
white.
warmth in the cracks here. You really feel the depth of that little crevice space. And then all this, even it's like he's taken a palette knife and just dragged some of this in and out of each other, this vine over to the right. Because if you painted that too sharp and crisp, it would look funny. But it becomes a part of yeah, go ahead.
And I was gonna say her dress, you can almost see through it. You can see through it, her flesh, through the her clothes, her top, the white.
And you wonder if he
Interesting.
painted her whole body first and then put the fabric over it, or if he just painted as, surely not. But it's a reminder that if you don't know, that's where the nude studies come in. If you don't know how to paint the body, if you don't know what a thigh looks like underneath as you're painting a skirt over the top of legs, you're going to be painting an empty skirt and it's going to be obvious. A lot of times I'll draw the circles where the kneecaps go and the cylinder of the leg when I'm trying to work on a fold, because I have trouble getting the fold to look right. Like here, you can see, let me hide this panel. Thought I already did that. Okay. You can see you can feel her what's that calf right here underneath the skirt. So if you were just trying to paint the skirt without thinking about that calf underneath, you would miss an opportunity to let that fabric lay over the form of her leg and look realistic. I've tried to paint clothing without being aware of what's underneath, and it looks just flat and wrong. I always know when it's wrong. But the yellows and the purples, even though this is a white garment, he's put purples in it. And it's just his work is just really beautiful. There's just lots going on with it. A couple more and then we'll move on. Here's the little shelf up above it with the grapevine on it.
Did he make any money when he was alive, or is he another one of those guys that just made money after he croaked?
No, I believe I read that he was one of the few that did make money while he was alive. So good for him, right?
Yeah.
Look at the edges on the pot here. Look how they melt in certain places. And, you know, we just want to make everything too sharp and crisp.
Amazing artist. Wow.
Papa changed you? Yeah. Thank you, Papa. She said, ta-ta, Papa.
She's so cute.
Ta-ta. Ta-ta means thank you for changing.
Oh, cute.
Anyway, she's something else.
She's cute.
Yeah. Most of the time, Jackie, most of the time. Another mirror, Bridget. But again, here's another example. If you don't think about the spherical shape of the back of the head. Remember, the skull extends out beyond this box of the jaw. He knows that. He knows anatomy. When he's modeling the hair around the head, you'll just be tempted to paint flat hair, straight down. And I talk a lot about, if you were to put a halo on the model's head, that the light usually wraps around the head like if you were to put a halo of flowers around the head. And you see that here. And you see that the highlight in this very orangish hair is greenish, but there's a little blue in there. So blue, and if everything around you is green, and this is mostly orange, I put a tiny bit of a bluish green in it, because that's more complementary than just orange and green. Orange, a burnt sienna, and a bluish green looks a lot better. So making those kinds of decisions with your color. And a lot of this in the mirror is very greenish, which is kind of creepy when you put too much green. It's like green around the gills.
Well, so that must had to be a model, huh? Because I can't imagine. I tried to do a painting with a mirror, like a reflection from a mirror, and it was hard for me to make my brain do the opposite. So it must have she has to have been a model to be able to capture that, huh?
Yeah,
I mean, she must have modeled that.
Models for all
in a mirror.
All of his people.
Yeah.
Whether he had to have them come multiple times, they look to me like he's doing them from life.
Yeah, have to be.
Yeah, the only one is the one we're working on. I'm like, how did he do that with the scarf?
She was lying down. I figured that out in my dreams. I'm serious. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It was a 3
That might be, she may have used that technique though. I never thought of it.
Lying down like this. And that's how he did all that. And then he got down and painted it.
We're going to have to look at that again, Peach.
That's interesting.
Well, they didn't have, what's he going to do? Have some kid fanning her? I don't think so. They didn't have I don't think they had fans. It didn't look blowy to me. It looked like she was lying down and her chin was up and he was looking at her because.
That might be, you might be right. You might be right about that.
If you look at her arm, it looks a little bit flattened. Okay. And I'm just saying.
Yeah, because that scarf, I would agree with you because of the scarf, the way the scarf was shaped.
Literally thought in the middle of last night of all things. I don't know why it popped in my head. Okay, I'm shutting up.
Yeah. Oh no, I appreciate that thought, because there was photography during his lifetime. So he could have used some photographs. There's none anywhere that I know of.
I would say that she just had a God intervention, because that's probably what he did. They probably posed it down and God enlightened her to enlighten us if that's how he posed her for the painting.
So subconscious, but okay, could have been God.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Another little naked girl, but again, the cools of the water next to the skin tones, and again, how's somebody going to sit? There's a lot of controversy with, if you've ever seen, I have this book by David Hockney about what if some of these old masters used a camera obscura or some type of photographs, because there's one particular one that Bouguereau did of a woman laying on the beach, and the wave that's coming behind her looks like it would have totally been like a tidal wave over her. And he said, there's no way she could have posed, which is kind of true here. There's no way she could have held her hair out like that in front. She'd probably been freezing in front of this water. I don't know. So maybe it's parts. Maybe they held the arm out like that for a few minutes. I guess she's a mermaid. Yeah. Missed that part. Yeah, she's a mermaid.
I'm pretty sure her tail wasn't real either.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look at this. Look at the scales. And again, this is a great reminder not to paint everything, but to just have an impression. There's a little bit of an impression of the of the scales here.
Oyster shell with the pearl.
And the colors in the abalone shell are just amazing.
It's beautiful. We had one like that growing up. I remember it.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yep. I mean,
A mermaid.
not a mermaid. The shell. The shell.
And look at the rocks. I mean, there's no
Mhm.
just flat gray on any of these rocks. They all have a value. They're lavender, they're blue, they're mossy green. There's pink over here. There's a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of things going on here. These strokes on the edge of the water are up and down, which creates that little bank right there, this up and down stroke. This rock's a little weird in the front. I'm not real. If I had painted that, I probably wouldn't like it.
It almost looks like a tree trunk.
Oh, it is a
broke.
tree trunk. That's what it is, Bridget. You're right, with some seaweed on it. As she came up out of the water, she drug some seaweed over the stump, I guess.
That's pretty creative.
No wonder I didn't like it as a rock.
Yeah.
So there again, we may spend a little bit more time next week looking at some of these. I think it's valuable to ponder some of these things and look at the nice quality image of the art.
I miss going to art museums.
Yes, me too. And we haven't had any really good ones around here in quite a while.